Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I just want to do a video talking a bit about the TU16 PTS for the Division 2. Now, outside of the streams that I've done for Phase 1 and now Phase 2, I haven't really done a ton of coverage on it, and I mean, that's, I guess, for a few reasons, but primarily I think a lot of people who have already been covering this, across other places on YouTube and Twitch and whatnot, have done a great job talking about the pros and cons and what the flaws and what's good about some of the new gear and all that stuff. So I haven't had a ton to contribute, but what I really just want to do with this video is give some of my thoughts on a few key points that I feel I actually do have some interesting thoughts on. Just explain a little bit of my thinking with some of the things. I think there are four main things that I wanted to cover right now, including stuff like Countdown, some of the new gear. Obviously, we had the Striker change with PTS Phase 2. That's gotten a lot of attention from people. So I just want to go over a few of those things quickly, give a few of my thoughts, and should be a good time. So as you can see, we're here in one of the new Countdown modes. This is on hard, which I have actually not tried before right now. But if you weren't aware, TU16 is adding 3 new difficulties to Countdown to make a total of 4. So now it's going to have a normal, hard, challenging, and heroic version. And that's kind of what I wanted to discuss first. Like I said, I've talked about this a little bit on stream, but I still somewhat question the ultimate decision to go in and make not just one new Countdown difficulty, but 3 additional ones to make 4 total. Now let me be clear, because I'm sure some people are going to be a little bit angry about hearing me say that. I in no way have a problem with Countdown becoming more accessible to more people. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going to enjoy being able to run Countdown solo, and I have no problem with that. I think that's a great thing, and I hope that people do get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and that they're able to, more easily access it, get better loot, all that stuff. I think that's great, and I think that should probably be a positive effect on the game. But where some of my reservations about the whole thing come in is first the idea that we needed to add 3 additional ones. I think that's a little bit excessive, and the main reason why I have this whole, trepidation about the idea in general is that I think this is really going to dilute the matchmaking pool for Countdown. Countdown, when it came out, and I mean as it is on the live game right now, is a very obviously group-focused experience. It's an 8-player game mode. The whole point of it is to get all of your friends in there, matchmake for it, go in, have some quick 15-minute sessions with a lot of action. And I think, if they wanted to just add 1 additional mode that was more intended for solo players, I think that would have been fine. But the fact that we're now going to have 4, I really do question how much that's really going to affect the current matchmaking populations and how easily you'll be able to find other players. Again, because you need 8 to do whatever difficulty you want to do at your, whatever time you're on. I think that could get a little bit dicey as far as the availability of the content. And I think that's, just a questionable decision to make going forward, especially because they stress so much going into year 4. We want to make content that is for and caters for lots of different types of players. And that's totally fine. I think that's a good way to go about it. You want all of your players to have stuff to do. But somehow, has that now translated into we need to make all content for all players? Because once Countdown now has a solo difficulty, and if that makes the group difficulties harder to matchmake into, then is Summit supposed to be more of a group-focused or a solo-focused one? I always felt like Summit was very solo-friendly because you could go in, set your own difficulty, add different modifiers if you want to make it more difficult. And now, even more for solo players, I don't know why you would do Summit, except for the floor 10 farm, when you could just go into solo Countdown and get way more named items in a shorter period of time. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested to see what their larger plan is moving forward, especially as we head later into year 4 and into year 5, how they plan to juggle all of these different types of content that can now be played solo and in a group, and if those matchmaking pools are going to be balanced, where the loot distribution is all going to come in. It's an interesting problem that they are going to have moving forward, I think, and I'm interested to see how they'll tackle it. So that's all I wanted to say there. Again, I am very glad that everybody who wanted a normal or a solo Countdown mode is now going to have that opportunity. I think a lot of people will find that more accessible and more appropriate for their level of enjoyment for the game, and that's great. I'm totally happy for them. Like I said, just interested to see what that's going to mean for the larger game moving forward. But that's all about all I had to say for Countdown as of right now. All right, the next point that I wanted to quickly touch on was Striker, because yes, if you did not hear, in Phase 2 of the PTS, they have reworked or just kind of changed Striker in some ways because, and they said this in the patch notes, that they're aware that Heartbreaker's kind of outclassed it in a lot of ways, and they want to give it its own identity again and give it a purpose for actually running it, which is a very noble reason. I'm very glad that they recognize that that was something that they needed to do. The outcome, however, has been a bit more controversial among the community. Some people say that the new striker has a lot of potential and that they're really excited to use it in the live game, and some have said that they've made it a lot worse. I don't quite have an opinion either way. I just kind of wanted to demonstrate a little bit here and, give you guys the information. I mean, I'm sure you've already seen it in a lot of places, but what a lot of people are concerned about, because the big change they made is that they changed it from multiplicative damage to additive damage, which on its surface is a net damage decrease. However, using the chest piece, well, they've now also buffed some of the backpack stuff, like you can get up to 1% stacks or 1% damage per stack, which is big, but you can also now build up to 200 stacks with the chest piece. You do lose them faster, though, and that's where a lot of people's thoughts and opinions are really differing. Some people say that it's, it makes sense that it's harder to maintain the stacks when you have that much extra damage going, and some people say it's too hard, that it's not going to be worth running the set. And I think those are both valid concerns. I'm interested to see where it's going to land. Honestly, I'm not sure when this hits the live servers, because the PTS is very much kind of an echo chamber. There's a certain population of the player base that plays it. When this gets into the general hands of the Division 2 players, I'm curious to see where it's going to land. And so I just kind of wanted to show, because I did this on stream yesterday. Let's make that named. When you set this up with 200 stacks, you can blast through. And I set this to, I guess just so you guys can see, I did set this to heroic. So this is a heroic level named boss equivalent in here. Let me build up the stacks quickly. And I'll show you what 200% extra damage looks like on there. Because, yes, 200%, you're going to be getting a lot of damage. I mean, look at that, 8.5 million DPS. Now, this is also kind of an unoptimized build on the PTS. I don't have my normal character or gear or anything on here, so that's very fast. But in combat, how frequently are you really going to build up 200 stacks, be able to maintain them while you're losing 5 per second? That's really the question that a lot of people are bringing up. I think there are certainly cases where that could come true in raids or countdown or whatever, but then the question becomes, do I really want to run striker there? Is it worth it for all that trade-off? And that's really the question. Like I said, I don't quite have an opinion either way right now, but it is a very interesting conversation that I've seen going on. And so my whole point is, it is very strong at 200 stacks. I'm not quite sure yet if maintaining and building up to 200 stacks is going to be viable for the majority of the player base, and I'll be very interested to see how this is received when TU16 hits the live servers. Alright, I then wanted to touch on the Umbra gear set changes quickly, because I think it has been really positive for the overall reception and viability of the set. If you didn't see, the main two changes they made were that they increased the total amount of healing for the set. I should build up my stacks before I run in here. From 0.5%, or however it calculates it, 0.5 to 0.8, right? So an increase in the net healing, and then they additionally made it so that you lose stacks slower for the damage one that I'm using now, right? The rate of fire and crit damage one. And just for reference sake, I just want to give everybody an idea. This is the challenging difficulty of Countdown, so the equivalent of the one that we currently have in the game. Again, my character and build is a little bit subpar because this is not my normal character. So take that in mind when you're watching me play through this, but it's pretty solid. I actually don't even recall if I'm running the Chester backpack, is what I was trying to say. But, I don't think this is going to be out of the gate as strong as Heartbreaker, and I'm can say almost without a doubt that the devs intended it that way. They know the kind of drama that Heartbreaker caused with how good it was, and then going into nerf, and a lot of people were upset about that, but I think Umbra is going to be a lot more tame from the beginning, at least in PvE. Part of the problem that I've always had at the PTS, and as someone who doesn't play PC regularly, so I don't have all of my usual stuff on here, I find it very hard to be able to test out stuff on here in PvP, just the availability of other players in the Dark Zone. Maybe in the future it could be made a little bit easier to get into PvP lobbies with other people. I don't know how they could really set it up, but I have a feeling Umbra is going to be more problematic in PvP than anywhere else. I don't think it's going to outclass a bunch of stuff in PvE right off the bat, like I was saying, but in PvP, to be able to pop into cover and get a bunch of rate of fire like that, I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out. I don't know for certain that it's going to be overly, stronger than other stuff in the game, but I'm curious to see if it will be, because I think that's definitely a possibility. And like I said, I don't really have the wherewithal to be able to try that out right now in the PTS, so very interested to see how that's received on the live server. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it in terms of them being worried about that, so perhaps it won't be. But either way, I'm excited to run it. I think it's going to be more of a fun set than anything, and that's fine. Not everything has to be completely game-breaking and, the next best thing in the world. But I'm just excited to run around with Umbra. I think it's going to be a really fun set. Anything that buffs up rate of fire is always really fun to me. So again, this has been a glimpse of its gameplay performance in challenging, which is comparable to the one that we have in the live servers. And again, I will give the disclaimer that this is not my peak performance or build, as I'm not on my own character with my own stuff. So take the gameplay with a grain of salt, and I'm using it kind of for fun with a Lady Death when I'm sure there's better combinations you could run. So there you go, just a little sneak peek of Umbra. I'm satisfied with the changes they made for Phase 2, and I think that'll make it a lot more consistent and probably more fun when it hits the live servers when TU16 drops. All right, and this last little thing that I wanted to talk about has taken me quite by surprise, and I'm now very excited for its inclusion in TU16. You can see, I just want to show again, we were at a heroic level shooting range, and that is the new Busy Little Bee exotic pistol. Now, in Phase 1, this was something that after, reading through it a bit more, seeing some people use it, I understood its relevance, and I saw how it could be very viable in some situations. It was very much more intensive in the way you had to use it, where you had to build up a bunch of different stacks in a limited amount of time, but then you could get one shot of single damage more on something like a sniper or a shotgun, and that ended up making it very powerful in some situations like legendary or things like that. But the change they made to it in Phase 2, and I don't think I entirely... I certainly understood and read it on the patch notes, but it just didn't really click with me how universally good this is now going to be. So what it does now is that you can just build up 10 stacks. Every stack gives you 20% extra weapon damage. And then once you switch off of the B onto whatever other gun, you get that much extra weapon damage for 10 seconds. That's super good. And I'm really excited. I think this is going to have great use in both PvE and PvP. So just for demonstration's sake, here, let's make this an elite. And again, this is on heroic. So you can get a sense of just how strong it's going to be. So this is just a regular 6 red striker setup, right? If I land some headshots on this guy, maybe I need to make it a name. That's still pretty fast. You should be able to noticeably tell the difference between... I should have put some blues on. Either way, let's build it up now. And what was nice about the change from Phase 1 to now is that you don't have to wait the in-between time now. There used to be a 5-second gap you had to shoot another target before all your stacks went away. Now you can just take your time, paint up to 10 of them. We'll only get, 7 or 8 here. I don't know why I can't hit that one in the middle. Looks like I gotta stand here, maybe? That's weird. Alright, I think we got 9 there. So we should be getting 180% damage now. You can see the timers now going down there. That's pretty darn quick for taking out a named target on heroic. And in stuff like PvP, this could add a lot of value as well. There, you can see the difference pretty well there between the time to kill when I had the buff versus not there. So the Busy Little Bee has quickly become maybe my most anticipated exotic of TU16. I'm still very excited for the Dr. Home, but I was a little bit disappointed it didn't get some further improvements with Phase 2. But the Busy Little Bee has quickly risen the charts from probably my least anticipated to the most anticipated. And I'm very excited to run this on a lot of my builds where, sometimes you just don't need an exotic in your 2 primary slots. We'll just throw this thing on, get some extra weapon damage going, and voila, you got a lot more damage in your total output. So I'm very excited for this. I did see some people saying that maybe it needs a bit of the Negotiator's Dilemma treatment in PvP, where you have to limit the range and how far you can carry that buff around, because, people love to do that in PvP. They've been doing it since year 1 with the specialization ammo. They would go clear a supply drop and carry the ammo back somewhere else and then flag up and then use it to kill people. I could see that becoming a problem, so maybe they do need to implement some sort of limit there. But overall, very pleased and happy with this change made to the Busy Little Bee. And I think it's going to be, compared to the other 2 exotic pistols we have, this is now easily going to become the most universal and the one that can really fit in and be very moldable in a lot of different builds. And I'm excited for that. Really happy and excited to give this a try, and can't wait to incorporate it into my builds when TU16 drops. So there you have it, everybody. As I said, I just wanted to come on here and walk through live a few of the different aspects of the TU16 update in PTS that I found the most interesting, that I had some actual thoughts on that I wanted to share with you all. I very much hope you enjoyed. Like I said, sorry my coverage of this hasn't been the most thorough as it probably could have been, with all the Heartland rumblings and stuff going on lately. I've been a little bit distracted, but I am, of course, very excited for this next update for the Division 2, and I think Phase 2 was a very positive step forward for both the team at Massive and this update. I think a lot of people are very happy with a lot of the things that are coming. Not everything is perfect, no, it's never going to be. But yeah, I'm excited for this update. I think it's going to be a very positive one for the game moving forward, and I can't wait for it to hit the live servers. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about anything you've seen in this video, or otherwise your experiences or thoughts about the TU16 PTS. What are you most looking forward to? What exotic, the new gear, the gear set, whatever it may be? I would love to hear your thoughts, especially on the Striker rework. Some of that stuff, I know that's where a lot of people have had a lot of their opinions, so I would love to hear yours. That's going to do it for me today, though. Everybody keep an eye out for my coverage of the Season 10 reveal stream, which should be happening at some point this week, at least when I'm recording it. We have not gotten word on that yet, so I can't wait to find out when that's going to be, so we can find out more information about this update that's coming to us very soon. And I think this has been a strong PTS. Looking forward to the full release. That's going to do it for me today, though. Everybody, once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.